We have a craftable lightweight without remorse, and the lightweights are one of my favorite shotgun archetypes. We're at a crossroads though. I think many of you would agree that the pellet shotguns have lost a step. Sure, they're being used, some are using slugs. Then there's this guy right here trying as hard as it can be to be noticed. The landscape of shotguns is shifting a little bit. It makes the perk choices and the shotgun choice itself kind of difficult. Last week, Trials had 0 legendary shotguns show up in the top 10, and sure, they were at the top as a whole, they're always gonna be, but nothing's been standing out. They've had their range dropped even more this season. Reduced damage fall-off start and end by 1 meter, reduced aim assist and magnetism fall-off start and end by 2 meters. And this has shifted how I want some of them to be, how they're used. So in this review, I'm going to have some suggestions. I don't believe that there's an above-all, be-all god roll for Without Remorse. There are multiple, and it's also very important to consider what competition has to offer. To me at least, the lightweights have a role, a job. They do some things very, very well. So today, I want to explore why I lean to a certain side with this type of shotgun. And hey, real quick, a reminder, I am partnered with Apex Gaming PCs. My PC line has 3 tiers, cool, cooler, and coolest. They're customizable. They have AMD Ryzen processors and NVIDIA graphics cards. And Apex Gaming PCs offer a lifetime labor warranty, 24/7 customer support, ship worldwide, 1 year standard parts replacement warranty, and more. All the good stuff. If you don't have it all up front, that's all right, because they offer flexible financing installment plans. There's a link down below, right at the top of the description. Don't forget, you can save up to $250 off of your order with code CoolGuy. It's obtained from the new activity, a Nightmare weapon. And again, Valkyrie Zero is the best shader for these things. Now, you can focus them at the Crown of Sorrow as well. You need 5 red borders completed. Once you do that, you can craft it. Then you level it up to get the perks. And for special weapons, heavy weapons, they're such a pain to level. I hope Bungie looks into that. But in this case, this particular weapon, I do feel like everyone should get one. I do, because shotguns, they're not going anywhere. The things that you can do with shotguns isn't going anywhere either. This one does have special things for PvE and the Crucible. There's a case to craft one for both. When you get random rolls, you craft it, you make a decision. As a whole, the shotguns with their range pulled in, the one-shot kill distance stepping closer and closer. You either want to go for a lot of range to try to get the most out of that, get a little bit deeper on your one-hit kill range, and by a little bit, I mean like under a half meter. Or B, lean into the strength. When you use a lightweight, you get that lightweight bonus. Superb handling, you move faster with it equipped. The lightweights have that high inherent handling, faster fire rate. It's a sweet spot, so I recommend that you lean into that a little bit more. Or try to level them out. I'm going to show you how to do that with a shotgun. But with these, you have a fast shot, and you do it twice if you need to. Speed is the main deal with these things, quickness. So with the nerf to range, aim assist, it's very important to bring up how these things shoot. Because one of the biggest questions now is, what barrel do you go with? A shotgun contains 12 pellets. They spread out across 3 rings, and that center pellet is placed, that's where it's just going to be. And that center is marked by the C. The first inner ring is 4 wedges, 1 pellet in each wedge. The outer ring, it has 7 wedges, so 7 pellets. The center is a fixed location. That's the center of your shot. From there, each pellet is only randomized within the defined wedge angle. So a tight grouping is when the RNG from, let's say, wedges 4, 5, and 6 all border each other. Basically, they're right on top of each other. That's a good RNG spread. When they move away, not so much. And when you go airborne, special weapons in general have poor airborne effectiveness. These barrels, remember, they nerfed full choke. So what does that leave us with? I had an idea of where I wanted to go. I even had a consult from our friendly neighborhood shotgun main, Fallout Plays. And it's the same idea. The only ones to really stay away from, or at least caution, is going to be rifled barrel and smoothbore. Now, smoothbore literally increases pellet spread. It's never good. But rifled barrel, it gives a big -15 handling penalty. So that's a strength of the shotgun. You don't want to take that away. So unless you main Ophidians, use things like quick charge, it's not worth it. And later on in the video, I do have an exception of how it can work. So with those two off the table, for the most part, what you're now doing is min-maxing the stats. Placing stats where you want them to be, need them to be. So good options are Barrel Shroud, +10 stability, +10 handling. Handling is the most important part of that. Small bore, +7 range, also +7 stability. Full choke is an okay option, but they said it only helps just a small amount now. So I've just been trying to, again, min-max my stats. There are really 3 main ways to go. My favorite is bringing them together. It'd be a range masterwork, accurized rounds, corkscrew rifling. And corkscrew is a +5 range, handling, and stability, so 15 total stat points. That's giving you the best of both worlds. Really high range, really high handling. From there, another way, you would lean actually more into handling. Move the masterwork over to handling. Then you can go all the way with Barrel Shroud. Now the opposite of that is you add more range. So maybe small bore instead of corkscrew. For me personally, I'm doing the first one. And there's a lot to talk about today, and later on in the video, I'm gonna show you why I'm doing this. I'm gonna go corkscrew, accurized, range masterwork. That even stat split, about as even you can get with 70 range, 69 handling. From there, you add on things like dexterity, swift charge. There there are perks, you have scalers, and more. It hits a good range number, a good handling number. For the magazine, you can sub in Assault Mag for that little bit faster RPM if you want. For the perks, there are a number of ways to go depending on what you want to do or what you have been doing. That's where your decision is going to go. These shotguns are excellent tools, and they're deadly. First column, we have stats for all, hipfire, threat detector, field prep, well-rounded, steady hands, and in the right column, elemental capacitor, fragile focus, turnabout, 1-2 punch, vorpal weapon, incandescent. I first want to start with PvE. We have things like incandescent, stats for all. Kind of a weird little interaction, that's what you're seeing right now. When you do get a final blow, it spreads Scorch to nearby targets. 30 Scorch is applied. If you have enhanced, it goes to 40. When you tag surrounding enemies with the Scorch, that counts as hits, so one shot in a group will proc stats for all. Plus 10 range, plus 30 handling, so that'll be at 99 handling with how we set it up. Gets 10 stability, 35 reload with a small scaler on top. Now, personally here, this is cool, but I don't like incandescent on this thing because special ammo is valuable, and you're taking out ads to get that explosion, to spread that scorch. Why not just use a Drang? And when you're damaging a major, a yellow bar, any shotgun could do that. And it would be better with, let's say, a Vorpal shotgun, a 1-2 punch shotgun. And with this perk, the final blow matters. Keep that in mind. And with how this is set up, honestly, you could just go field prep incandescent for PvE. More reserves to take out the ads, faster reload when crouched. It's actually a way faster reload when you're crouched compared to stats for all. But I think the main PvE chase here is 1-2 punch. Enhanced allows you to only land 10 of the 12 pellets for it to proc. You land those pellets, 200% melee damage, 350% against bosses, so maybe you're running Liar's Handshake, maybe Worm God. You're on Void, you have the Bulwark Fragment, you get ×5 Worm God, you do the Shoddy Shoulder Charge, 2 one-shot things, and when I slid in, if you noticed, I was hip firing and that Porka Ball caught that opened up the lane to the boss, so you could go Enhanced Hip Fire Grip. That way when you do shoot from the hip, you only need to land 10 of the 12, you can follow it up with the big powerful melee. That's viable, because otherwise, Threat Detector, 1-2 punch. Because you're always going to be in range and threat detector is always going to be up within this engagement space. If you're shooting at something, that perk is up. You get a faster reload, faster handling animation, it is speed. So your options are hipfire, threat detector, field prep, possibly steady hands, and you pair that with 1-2 punch, possibly Vorpal, possibly incandescent. I think that hipfire 1-2 or threat 1-2 is the way to go. And again, as far as incandescent, I value special ammo, and for me to spread Scorch, do that, I would much rather use Dranger Mata Mini. Use my heavy hitter special ammo on majors and bosses. But to me, you can't really ask for anything more. This is something that every player can benefit from, a perfectly crafted PvE shotgun for you. As far as the Crucible, it gets a little bit interesting. We do have Arc 3.0 coming along, and if Void and Solar 3.0 are any indication, let's just assume 90% of the Crucible players are going to be maining Arc when it comes out. So with that said, with those stat splits, 70 range, 69 handling, and remember, you do get a small stat bump at level 20. Elemental Capacitor, no problem, plus 50 handling, gets you to 100. You pair that with Threat Detector. Enhanced is even better. You're always going to be within 15 meters, and at this point, you aren't worried about the handling stat. It is maxed. But you are interested in the handling animation. I have a random roll, and here's that exception from earlier. This is 75 range, 99 handling. This is rifled barrel, accurized range masterwork. So if you do this combination, you can go rifled barrel if and only if you are going arc. You're going to be maining arc, and that's probably going to be okay next season. Because if you're not maining arc, you have 49 handling. That is not good. But that is a perfect Arc 3.0 shotgun. Is the 5 range worth it? Probably not. So you can still set it up how we talked about earlier, have 5 less range, but with the stat bump, over 70 handling, which is really good. I also do want to make a case for Steady Hands Elemental Capacitor. And I might do a short video talking about Steady Hands, what it's really doing, and all the things that it does for you. It gives a faster than original OG quick draw, and that's really fast. It makes the handling stat maxed, and it gives a massive scaler for all weapons, not just the shotgun. So you saw earlier, you're seeing now, we have some Top Tree Arcstrider Assassin's Cow gameplay. And in that one game, I had 28 melee final blows. But with these shotguns, again, you are fast, you're using that to your advantage, and with Top Tree Strider, I'm using Deadly Reach, a melee lunge. So with Ophidians, Syntheseps, Deadly Reach, Arc 3.0, it's going to be a thing. Also, we have Liar's Handshake. That and the pellet shotties just aren't doing too hot overall, so a melee final blow is viable. So my thinking, my reasoning, is that if the shoddy does get the final blow, and I don't melee follow up, why not just be faster everywhere? Because you are going to see times where I do get the shotgun final blow, which is fine, that's cool. But there are other times where I leave them a little bit, do the follow up. So if I am doing a melee build, and I'm using it to prime my enemy. If I do get the shoddy final, why not just have steady hands just suit me up even more? And what's funny, with a melee build, the shotgun final blow is actually a worst case scenario. Kind of weird. And as a matter of fact, I think I am going to be going Corkscrew, Accurized, Range Masterwork, Enhanced Steady Hands, and Enhanced Elemental Capacitor for Arc 3.0. It just works. Steady Hands is incredible, but other than that combination, you do have Hipfire on the other side. You might go Hipfire, Elemental Capacitor, or Hipfire 1-2 Punch. And I believe that Cammy did craft Hipfire 1-2 Punch, and it's the same deal. You end in melees a lot anyway, and he uses this solely in Trials because of Bubble Titans. If you craft that, you can use it in PvE and the Crucible and just be done with it all. I do want to talk about Incandescent. That's fine, because there is a play for Enhanced Incandescent, because Enhanced applies 40 Scorch. A Caliban knife deals 60 Scorch. That's an Ignition. And you may have noticed, I'm kind of going along here, I haven't brought up Fragile Focus. Here's the deal with Fragile Focus. You gain bonus range until you take damage. If anything, it's a placebo. This perk works within a weapon's intended range. These ranges are hard capped for weapons. Hard capped close on shotguns. I've done testing with auto rifles, sidearms, and when I did a max range sidearm with Fragile Focus, it gave less than a half meter. So if I am max range on a sidearm, getting less than a half meter, what's it gonna be with a 5-6 meter range? Because that was at 17-18. So if it's getting that, it has to be just a teeny tiny bit. And you combine that with A, you're gonna be taking damage with a shotgun. And if they're not looking at you, you should be able to down them anyway. And B, we have pellet RNG. So when you say you landed a deep hit, well, was that because Fragile Focus is the best perk in the game? Or did you have good pellet RNG? We won't know, and you'll never know. But what I do know is how the perk works. There's not really that much value there. On high range weapons with high engagement space, if you were to have it on a hand cannon, on the high impact AR, it almost gives 4 meters because it takes a percentage of the engagement space. It's just not there with a shotgun. You do consider its competition, direct or indirect. Reese Walker hits that 80+ range stat. And then you have something like this. This is one of my favorite shotguns in Destiny 2. Been using it for years, the CQC-12. And do you notice anything about it? Also has 70 range, 69 handling. Pretty crazy, right? I know that this combination works. This one has quick draw. So with Threat Elemental or Steady Hands Elemental, I'm faster. If you want deep hits, use a Slug, use Fellwinter, use Found Verdict. These lightweights are best used to be fast, so utilize it. Double tap if you need to. At a range, you will double tap them faster than they get off a second shot. It's all about speed, quickness, and swift justice. It's a shotgun, as I started with, that I think everyone should craft. Amazing PvE, PvP setups. With what you can do with these things, it's not going away, even if the range gets nerfed. And with this one, you're able to get it the exact way that you want it by crafting. That's a W. I think it's a great shotgun. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about Without Remorse down below. What do you think about it? Also, pellet shotguns in general. Thank you for watching. And until the next one, I am CoolGuy.